Certain 2028 contender Gavin Newsom has racked up retweets and likes for months with his social team's aggressive strategy online. But it's starting to ruffle some feathers on the left. Some critics are calling his team out for his criticism of right-wing figures in a way they feel is homophobic. When the conservative commentator Benny Johnson posted a clip on X last week in which he discussed allegations of fraud in California, Mr. Newsom's press office responded by suggesting that Mr. Johnson's team used the popular gay dating app Grindr. We got a call from Grindr after this and said your team was their biggest users, it posted on X. He also called Senator Lindsey Graham a diva. And earlier this year, when Mr. Newsom, a Democrat, got into a long and involved skirmish with Scott Bessent, the first openly gay Treasury Secretary at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, his press office posted, Scott Bessent flew across the ocean to star in The Real Housewives of Davos and can't stop talking about how hot he thinks California Governor Davos Daddy Newsom is. Now, one of the most prominent gay politicians in recent decades fired back. He should not have said that, said former Representative Barney Frank of Massachusetts, who came out in 1987 and was for decades the most prominent openly gay politician in the country. It uses sexual orientation as an accusation, which is wrong. Now, Brett, I want to get your thoughts here in a moment, but I also want to share two other posts that they did on this account this week that I found to be unintentionally funny. Now, first, this. Retweet if you miss having a president with empathy, and it's Joe Biden. You can argue about a lack of empathy for Biden, but I think to make that funnier, they also posted this. Retweet if you miss having a president with a functioning brain, featuring President Barack Obama. And Brett, why didn't they use the functioning brain line for Joe Biden?
So you guys do have a sense of humor. Got it. Like this is, I will just give you the humor math. You don't have to agree with it, but I will give you the humor math. And you can choose whether you are cool with this. To me, it is very obvious when I make jokes about Lindsey Graham's sexuality, okay? I don't know if I really have done that explicitly. I say he's horny for war, like he's gonna come because he's like, I did a short that was like, we're gonna blow the Iranians. He doesn't say away, and he's just like so horny for war, right? But like, the humor math here is they're homophobic. They are the ones who are passing laws that take rights away from gay people. And so it's funny to use that against them. That is what my read is on what he's doing. And so that is how the joke works. Now, I understand for many, and this is gonna get me in trouble, I'm not gonna do it well, but I have to do this so perfectly, and I understand, but please bear with me. I'm fallible and I'm tired. It's Friday, I've done many shows. But like in this respect, they're fighting fire with fire. But I understand that many people are like, well, so besieged is the homosexual in America by years and millennia of oppression and homophobia that I have to fight on every front. But the fact is, you'll give Barney Frank a pass before you give Gavin Newsom a pass. I understand he's straight there, he's not in the affected group, and I understand that math. But at the end of the day, he is going after them, pointing out their hypocrisy. And the question that I just don't know the effectiveness of going like, let me get Gavin Newsom. I would wager that the anger toward Gavin Newsom is motivated by more likely just disapproval of Gavin Newsom. And that happens a lot. There's a lot of people that we let get away with stuff because we like them, even if what they're doing, the math holds. And we don't let others get away with doing, and we do and don't let others get away with the same thing. I don't know, does that make sense to you, Jordan? Am I being unfair? It's okay to tell me I'm being unfair. We're very close friends.
I understand what they're doing. I am also not surprised that people don't like it. it feels weird. Like it's one thing for like a random person to go after Benny Johnson over allegations of him being closeted. It's another if you're like,
bro,
the most powerful
I've
governor.
had it hosts did a whole thing making fun of Benny, and I like them. I'm fascinated by them. But they did a whole thing making, like, pointing out Benny Johnson has an advertise. He's like, how dare they advertise gay cruises next to the army? And she pointed out, well, that is because you must have searched for gay cruises. Why does she get the benefit of the doubt in that scenario and not Gavin Newsom?
No, that was 27. That was from 2017. I remember when that. No, before that, I think actually. That was when it was had like the cookie tracker on there, and I worked in DC at the time, and that was like a widely spread rumor about him. You know, I think it's different when it's like even someone like that, even though she has a prominent show. I think what people are looking for Newsom is not more of the same, this brash, I'm going to take you to the mat and fight you dirty like Trump.
False. That's what they love about his tweets. They just don't like the gay one. I like nonstop. I've heard this guy is killing it. Oh, I have to respect it. At least someone's fighting.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I'm not surprised. I don't really have strong feelings either way. I'm not going to run to the defense of Lindsey Graham or Scott Bessent or Benny Johnson. I'm not surprised. This is where they kind of drew the line.
I think that a lot of these, like, that's the thing I just have to ask myself all the time. That's why I'm so passionate about it. Is like, why do I let this person get away with the same joke as that and not let the other person get away with the same joke? It's because I like one person and I don't like the other. And then there's a bunch of people in the middle who watch, like, this is the business. I mean, it's like the way that these things catch fire or don't. And you're very good at it. Like, but like there's just people who are just like, oh, I guess he's a homophobe now. I guess Gavin Newsom's a homophobe now. And there's a lot that finally like gets people sweat. And I don't care about Gavin Newsom one way or another. I like that he hates Republicans, and I like that he makes insulin, and I don't like that he has wine cave parties. Like, but what point are you swept up in this river that carries you away of like, oh, this guy's dog crap now? This is my favorite stuff because it's policing humor, and sometimes the joke isn't funny, but you laugh at it when someone else tells it. Not in the affected class. Regardless of the affected class or not.
I think there's a couple things. It's like, yes, I think the way he like fights and takes it to Trump on his own turf, that's one thing. And I think, okay, do you want to potentially have another president, or at least like a favored candidate that also goes into some of the stuff that society collectively decided, let's leave that behind us. Let's not make punchlines about that anymore.
I think that's a cop out. I think that's generally a cop out. I think the valid criticism of Gavin Newsom is like, he's not doing this to protect anyone. He's doing it to become president. I think that's at the heart why people do and don't let him get away with stuff, is the naked ambition of the guy perceived, right? That's it, is the like, oh, you're like everything else is just like annoying. I think that dynamic is yesterday crap. The dynamic of like, oh, is he allowed to do this? Is this technically, like, I made a joke about Benny Johnson and I referred to it as a guy whose haircut all but confirms the rumors. I do that maybe that's definitely why I'm partially more passionate about this. I did that because that side's homophobic, and pointing out their hypocrisy is a way to cut down their arguments and render them ridiculous. My goal is not to be president of the United States. His is, like Gavin Newsom's is. That's why I think the valid criticism is this guy's just so ambitious. He's gonna hire, in his mind, like, oh, even better, I'll get a Latina to tweet for me. I'll speak in Spanish, maybe, I don't know. We'll see how that tests. That's the criticism of Gavin Newsom, that he's that calculating, not that he's a homophobe. He's not a homophobe at all. In my opinion, I've never seen that. He's only champion, I mean, as far as I remember, He's only championed like legislative goals. And I see a lot of people be like, but what have they done when they're really making a difference? And they point to that to let the people they like off the hook, but just not in this case.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.